Hi, in this session, let's talk about the subqueries. We will study subqueries in the detail. What do you mean by subqueries? So when query is inside query, so you write one query, one SQL query, inside another SQL query, you call it as a subquery. Why do you need a subquery? Whenever you want to fetch the data from multiple tables and you want to get the data from one table and pass that result to another query, at that time you will use the subqueries. We'll see. So subqueries in the SQL are the queries that are embedded in another query. They allow you to perform the complex queries by using the result of one query as the input to another query. Result of one query as to input to the another query. Subqueries can be used in various clauses such as select, from, where, having, and so on. Select, from, where, having, and so on. Well, this is the general architecture or general structure of the subquery. A subquery is a query nested inside another query. It is enclosed within the parenthesis. Can you see this? It is enclosed within the parenthesis and typically used to retrieve the data based on some conditions. Here is the condition. This is the basic syntax. And the query inside this bracket is called as subquery. Right? So this is a little bit about the subquery. There are the types also. There are different types of the subqueries as well. But before moving to that thing, let us try to do some hands-on. So here I already have created subquery.sql, and as usual I would be using what you can say VS Code and SQL notebook extension, right? The way we are doing in the earlier videos. Okay, now just click on this file, open with SQL notebook. Okay, then use YTDB. Use YTDB. What is the use? You are switching the database. That is use YTDB. Now show tables. Let us see how many tables are there. Show tables. Customers, employees, orders, and the product. These many tables are there. So to understand these subqueries, we would be needing this kind of table structure: customers, orders, employee, and the product. What we'll do, let's try to drop all the tables. So how do we do that? Drop table, customer, customers. Can you see? You are deleting the or completely removing the customer table. Also employees, run it. Orders, drop table, orders, and then drop table product, drop table product. Okay, now if you try to fire show tables command, there is nothing. Okay, let's try to create the tables from fresh now. So here, create table customers. I already have copied the things into the classroom notebook. Create table. Let me get it. If you want to type, you can type. I will highly recommend that you should type it. Let's create the table, customer table. Then we can have orders table. Can you see there is a foreign key? Orders table is referring to the customer table. Let's have it. Copy. And I am pasting it to this. Right? We already have created this table. That's why I'm copy pasting. A lot of time we have created these tables in the previous sessions. So you might be habitual of typing these things, but I will highly recommend not to copy paste. Sorry, Yeah, not to copy paste and type the code. Okay, order id primary key, date int, like that. Run it. Can you see foreign key is there? So orders table is pointing to the customer table, or orders table is referring to the customer table. Then employees table, let's have the employees table. Now let's create the employees table. Here we are creating the employees table. Also let's create the product table. Let's create this product table. So why we are doing this thing? These tables are required to understand the subqueries. Well, if you have landed directly on this video, remember that this is a 76th video. I think, I might be wrong, but this is the 76th video. And there are a lot of earlier videos are available on the SQL session. First, you need to watch them, and then you need to come to this topic. Or if you are very well aware of SQL, you can start with this video also, no problem. But if you are a beginner, you should start from the basics of the SQL. A lot of things have been covered in this playlist. Okay. Now subqueries. A query inside query is a subquery. That's what we have seen. A subquery is a query inside another query is a subquery. Let's try to write the first subquery. Now if you can see, subqueries can be used for the different purposes, like filtering the rows, then calculating the aggregates and joining the tables. These are the three main things where subqueries are used. Just a minute. I am creating okay. Okay. Now filtering the rows. I will give you sample queries also over here. This is for the customers. Insert customer. This thing. I was creating this. I asked ChatGPT. I have shown you that part also. How do you work with the ChatGPT if you want to create the data? Okay. Now let's have 5 sample inserts for employees. Here are those. And the products. Okay, let's try to insert these things into our notebook. Let's go to the notebook. Inserted 5 records. Then let's go to this part. Insert into the orders table. Insert into the orders table. Then insert into employees table. Here it is employees table. Then 5 inserts for the product table. So we have some sample data. So in the earlier days we were creating these things manually, but nowadays AI is there. AI will do this laborious work for you. Okay. So we have all the required things now. Now let us try to understand subqueries. Let's try to write the subqueries on our own. Remember that why subqueries are used? Subqueries are used for filtering the rows, calculating the aggregates, and joining the tables. Okay. So filtering the rows, you can use a subquery in a where clause to filter the rows based on a condition, right? For example, retrieving all the customers who have made a purchase. See now, Now two tables are there, customer tables and the orders table. See here, select, I can say select customer name from the customers table where customer ID in this array, right, where customer ID in. So this query is going to give some result, and inside this you are going to check this customer is available or not. For your understanding purpose, I will write the requirement also over here, what exactly you are doing. So here you are doing retrieving all customers who have made the purchase. Retrieving all the customers who have made a purchase, right? See now. So try to understand the data in the orders table. So here first we will see select star from customers. Okay, this is your customers table, and select star from orders. This is your orders table. See here, so customer ID 1 is this customer. So this customer has purchased something. This customer has, 2 customer have purchased something. 3 customer have purchased something. 1 customer have purchased two items, and 4 customer, this is the 4th customer who have purchased in this. So if you have customer ID, if you have a customer ID which is mentioned inside the order table, which means that the particular customer have purchased something. You getting my point or not? So here, this is the customers table and this is the orders table. Remember that orders is referring to the customer. Orders is referring to the customer, which means that these orders table is going to maintain the details of orders as well as the customers, right? For example, once again I will tell you. So customer 1 has this order as well as customer 1 has this order, which means that the customer ID 1 have placed 2 orders, and that's what we would be needing, retrieving all the customers who made a purchase. Retrieving all the customers who made a purchase. So first customer have made 2 purchases, which means that it has placed 2 orders. So example of the subquery, right? So here you are getting all the customers IDs from the orders table, and you are just checking this customer ID is available in this orders or not. Can you see? Customer name John Doe, Jane Smith, Michael Johnson, Emily Lee. These customers have purchased something, right? Only these customers have purchased something. I hope you have understood this thing. Okay, next, calculating the aggregates. Calculating the aggregates. Now see, here we are using group by and having. So generally subqueries might be too long, so they would be intended like this, or they would be written like this. So generally, best practice for the SQL is each clause 1 line. Clause would be at the 1 line. See now, customer ID. So first we will see finding the average value, finding the average order value. See what you are trying to do. Finding the average order value for each customer. Finding average order value for each customer. Again same, if you try to see, having the average. So here we have used the group by customer ID. So rows would be grouped on the basis of customer ID. And after grouping, you are checking average order total is greater than average of this orders table. See now. So if you want to understand, we can fire this query 2 times. So here you can see select average, so it will return a single value. If you remember, aggregate functions return the single values, right? Aggregate function returns the single values. So this is going to return a single value. Okay. Now select customer ID, average of the order total as average order from the orders. Can you see? From the orders table. Now if you look at this query is working on one table only. So if you see here, it was a customer tables and the orders table. But here if you see, the outer query is on orders table. Also the inner query is on the order table. This also can happen. If such scenarios are there, you need to use something subqueries like this. Now here I will show you output first and run it, and here you can see the customer ID 1 has an average order 225 and customer ID 3 has an average order 200.25, which means that finding the average order value of each customer, select customer ID. This is the average total as average order, right? And the subquery. I just wanted to show you over here how you would be using the subqueries with the aggregates. Query might be irrelevant right now. Business logic is not there. It is irrelevant, no problem. But what I wanted to show you is simply how do you use the aggregate functions inside the subqueries. Okay. So here we have used a subquery for calculating the aggregates. Now joining the tables. So you can use the subquery for joining the tables. It is easy actually. 2 tables. Presently we are so here we have seen the 2 tables, but here you will see again from the same table. Here is the employee, and here is inner query is also working on the employee, outer query is also working on the employee, right? If you go here and see, so what we are trying to do, retrieving all the employees who have higher salary than the average salary. So outer query salary is greater than the average salary. Remember that here this guy will return a single value. So salary is also single value. So you can check it like this. And here you will get, so these people are there who have who have a salary which is higher than average salary, So presently we have considered only one department, but we can get the department wise also. Query would be a little much complex, but this is how subqueries can be used. First for filtering the rows, second for calculating the aggregates and joining the tables. So presently we have joined employee table, self join, you can call it as self join. So employee table is joined with the employee table. Okay. Now this is about usages where you would be using the subqueries. Then there is something called as types of the subqueries. Correlated subqueries and non-correlated subqueries, right? So just try to figure out what do you mean by correlated subquery. So here you can say, if you see over here, Can you see? Product name from the product P. So here we have defined, so P is alias. P is alias. So this P I'm talking about, this P is alias. So instead of simply writing products, we can create the alias like P. Product name, product P, right? Where product price is greater than average product price from the products. And can you see here? Outer result of outer query is used in inner query. Result of outer query is used in inner query. This thing is called as correlated subqueries. Correlated subqueries. Can you see? A correlated subquery typically involve a correlation condition between the outer and inner queries. So this P alias is a part of the outer query, and that is used in the inner query. Correlated subqueries and non-correlated subqueries. All these are non-correlated subqueries that we have seen. Still, I will write example. Non-correlated subquery, right? All whatever queries before this query we have seen, all are non-correlated subqueries. Non-correlated subqueries. They are independent of the outer subquery. They are independent of the outer subquery. They have nothing to do with the outer query, sorry. But in the correlated subquery, outer, just a minute, outer result is used inside the inner query. That thing is called as correlated and the non-correlated subqueries. See now, non-correlated, correlated subqueries. These subqueries can be evaluated independently of the outer query. They are executed first and their result is used in the outer query. Remember that. Their result is this thing would be getting executed first, and then their result is used in the outer query, right? And then their result is used in the outer query. See now, correlated, see here, these subqueries are dependent on the outer query for their result. They are evaluated once per row of the outer query. Once per row of the outer query. Remember that. If they are having 100 rows, this would be getting executed 100 times. And here comes the performance consideration. While subqueries provide the flexibility, they can impact the performance improperly. Excessive subqueries or using them in a performance critical areas can result in the slower query execution. It is important to optimize the queries and consider the alternatives like joins, right? Remember that joins are very important when you talk about communicating with the multiple tables or adding or working with the multiple tables. Joins are important. Remember that correlated subqueries might hamper the performance. There is a performance impact if you use correlated subqueries in a wrong way. So be very sure how do you use the correlated subqueries. I hope you got the idea of the subquery. Just revise the video for better understanding. If you get any question, write it in the comment box. If you have clear the concept, also write it in the comment box. And if you have directly landed on this video, go through the earlier SQL videos also which are available in this playlist. Thank you. We'll see in the next session.